Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com. Happy Friday, TGIF, everybody. And man, welcome to Today in Sports Betting. And today in sports betting should be a lot of fun. We've got a couple of got a basketball game going, got some fun little baseball games. We got a little college football action. So yeah, should be a good time. But Scott, we're going to kick it off with the NBA. Man, you got the Lakers and the overachieving Denver Nuggets. How you feeling about this one? Pretty good. You excited to watch this one?
The truth is, not really. I know that the series itself might be fun, but for game ones, the Lakers tend to sleepwalk, and I'm not really sure what to expect in this game from a spread perspective.
What is it about the Lakers that caused them to play just terrible basketball in the first games of series?
I think it's a matter of, I don't want to say that it's a recon process or anything like that, but I feel like the Lakers just like to feel out tendencies from their opposition in game one, and they realize, it's 4 out of 7, and we can win 4 out of 6 anytime we want. So we might as well just try to see what specific teams are doing offensively and defensively, and then just game plan for that, and then just destroy it moving forward. And that's what they've done in the first two series. It might sound nuts, but they lost game 1 against Portland, they lost game 1 against Houston, and then they smacked both opposition in 5 games. So that's kind of been what the Lakers have been doing. They tend to not really, I don't want to say not try, but they kind of just take notes, I guess, for game 1, and then just use it against them from games 2 through 5. It seems to be what they do.
Notes and shoot all the shots they should be able to shoot.
That sounds nuts, but am I wrong? That's kind of what they do.
That's the way it looks. I'm sure they would tell you that's not the case, but that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like they're in the first round of a boxing match. They're throwing a couple of jabs to try to keep their opponent off balance, but they're not throwing any hooks. They're not throwing any uppercuts. It's hard to argue with that as kind of silly as it sounds in this day and age. You're absolutely right. And what do you think about the game last night, man? It was and this looks like it's going to be a pretty fun series there between the Heat and the Celtics. Two good teams going at it. Heat pulled it off again, but they're up 2-0. The Celtics still have an answer for them.
It's pretty tough right now. The issue that you have is the fact that Miami can just beat you in such a variety of ways, and it seems like Boston, who I had yesterday as my free play play of the day for the Celtics -2.5. It went up to -3, got a good number on it. Celtics are up 17 in the first half, and you're thinking, oh, the series is probably going 7. And the next thing you know, the second half comes on, Miami switches to a zone, and it's a good thing Boston never played against Syracuse, because they probably wouldn't have scored for the entire game, because they had no idea what they were doing against the zone. I don't really know how you can have professional athletes in the NBA who zone is always known, especially in the pros, as more of a gimmicky defense because, the players are talented enough to break through it. The Celtics had no idea what they were doing against the zone for the entire game. And I figured that Stevens at some point would tell them, maybe we shouldn't keep passing it side to side because Jimmy Butler keeps stealing the passes. But they just kept swinging the ball, and they kept turning the ball over. And it was just a hideous display in the second half where Boston got outscored by 20 in the third quarter. I understand that I thought Kemba would play better, and he did. He had 23 points, played well. I also am aware that after the game, Marcus Smart started yelling at Jaylen Brown, which I found kind of fascinating because Jaylen Brown actually had 21 points, and he shot 8 of 14 from the floor. So I find it weird that the guy who shot 5 for 13 is yelling at the guy who shot 8 for 14. I thought that was a little bit odd. But overall, it's one of the situations where you lose the play of the day, but your team's up 17. So, of course, you'd rather get the win, but I'm not going to say it was an awful play when the team I took was up 17 points.
No, and it came down to the final 5 minutes, and
and Boston even had a lead in the final 5 minutes. That was the weirdest part, is that Boston was up 17, choked it immediately. Then you thought Miami was going to run away with it. Then Boston came back, took like a 2-point lead with about 3-4 minutes to go. Right. And you're thinking, I don't know how I'm still alive, but I'm somehow still alive here. And the next thing you know, it's like, nope, we're going to turn the ball over twice, give up 2 wide open layups, and the game's over. I'm like, okay, thanks for coming back for nothing. But
yep, we were on the other side of that as far as premium goes.
I know we disagreed on that, but congratulations to you on the win. Truth is, we both had legitimate cases in that matchup, and then Miami went on the – it looked really good for me early. That's all I'm going to say, and then it didn't look good for me late.
Yeah, absolutely. And we leaned under, and that looked terrible in the first quarter after they put up 59 points.
I was actually never worried about the under, even after the first quarter. I was really never worried about it. It was something about the NBA playoffs where it seems like some games in the first quarter tend to go off, and then the pace just absolutely plummets at some random point in the second quarter. And that's exactly what happened in this game.
Were you watching that game with the sound?
I was watching mostly the Islander game, so I missed a decent portion of it, but I kept switching back. I watched a decent amount of the first half, and I saw that Boston blew it open in the second quarter, which is what I was rooting for. I saw they took the foot off the gas in the last 2 minutes of the first half, and I saw Miami went on a little bit of a run late, and I'm thinking that's not exactly a good sign for the second half. So I'm watching the Islander game. It goes into the intermission. I change it back, and I see Miami cut the 13-point halftime deficit to 2, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm basically screwed, but okay, thanks. And, the game was just an offensive struggle for the Celtics for the entire second half. They just couldn't solve a zone to save their lives.
Well, the reason I asked, they had an unbelievable stat about Robinson. What percentage of his shots do you think are 3-point shots, Scott?
I got to assume about like 92.
It's 86. I just thought that was phenomenal. This is a kid that definitely just defines a sharpshooter. That's what he does. He comes in and he shoots threes. He was hot early, man. Huh?
He was great in the first half, and then truth is, third quarter, Adebayo just took over.
Yeah. That's what I talked about a little bit on my premium video, is the fact that the Celtics they really don't have an answer for Adebayo.
They do not. Now, I mentioned a couple reasons why. I'm not going to go that far into the Celtics thing because I mentioned one of the reasons yesterday. I thought Kemba would play better. He did. He had 23 points. I thought that the Celtics would not use Kanter at all. They actually used him for 11 minutes, and he was fantastic, if I'm being completely honest with you. That surprised me.
He didn't get on the offensive end.
Yeah. Defensively, he was a disaster, which I saw coming. That's why I assumed he wouldn't play, because you can't use him in the pick-and-roll defense. He's awful. But he was great offensively. And then I thought they were going to use Grant Williams at the center more. And Boston did not use that at all, with the exception of a brief period in the fourth quarter. And it actually worked really well with Williams at the center. And then they just decided to never do it again. And I have no idea why, because Williams played 10 minutes and he was a +9.
Yeah.
And didn't go back to it.
I agree.
But I said that they were going to go to Williams at the center, and they did briefly, and it worked really well. And then Stevens just like, no, we're going back. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? You have a line that's actually been working. Why are you trying to outthink yourself here? Just keep Williams in the game. Let the flow dictate it. And they went back to the starting lineup, and then they got killed because they couldn't guard anybody, and offensively in the zone, they just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, that was such a liability. They had Tyson there playing 32 minutes. He's -15, man.
Yeah, the main issue that the Celtics have, the truth is the fact that they have no bench at all. You have Wanamaker, who has actually been good in this series, played 24 minutes. Kanter was a boost. Williams is okay. Ojale did nothing. Langford played 1 minute. Then you compare it to Miami, and you're looking at Miami's bench, and you're going, oh, you got Herro, Olynyk. I know Nunn only played 5 minutes, but he's still a threat. And you still have a lot of pieces there. Derek Jones, very good defender. He came off the bench. Boston has to rely on their starters playing 40-something minutes a game, and Miami can just rotate guys in and out, and it keeps them fresh.
Yeah, you're right. Tatum played 42 minutes. Brown played.
He has to. They don't have a bench.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so how do you make this game tonight, Scott? Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. We talked a little bit about the Lakers' struggles in the first game. I've got a player. I think that I'm going to go with the Lakers team total under.
Well, I'm personally leaning to the under.
They've put up 93 and 97 in their game ones of the other series. The odds makers have this at 109, and Denver's been playing some fantastic defense, man. They've over their last 8 games, they've given up just 100 points per game. They've found their defensive mojo, and I think it continues here against the Lakers, who we talked about are usually in feel-out mode in game one. I think this total is way too high for in general and for the Lakers. Give me the Lakers under 109. Where are you at?
I'm leaning to the full game under. I think that you can make the argument for both teams with the team total under, but I think the safer play is just the full game under for me. Am I going to play it personally? No, because I kind of want to see how these teams look against each other first. But based on what I've seen with the trends in the playoffs, I mean, Denver in game one against the Clippers were terrible. They lost by about 30. They didn't show up offensively. Against Utah in game one of their series, they won in overtime, but they didn't look good in the process. And the Lakers have looked awful in game ones of their series. So both teams have shown issues in game ones, and I think that this total is a little bit too high for me. Is it possible that LeBron and AD go off? It's possible, but I think it's also possible that defensively they clamp down on Denver because Denver's so used to Jokic having a huge mismatch in the paint, and now they have to go up against Anthony Davis. So I think that Denver's offense might take some adjusting to, because you can't just rely on going up against undersized big men or Zubac. Now you actually have to go up against a defensive player of the year caliber player. And I think that might throw Denver's offense into a bit of a funk. So for me, I'm going to go with the under. For the actual spread, I have no opinion on this game. I can't give out a spread lean because the Lakers are either going to show up and win by 20 or not show up at all. And I can't guess what they're going to do. For the sake of the total, though, I'll lean to the under.
All right, good enough. And I have made a guess on the side, and that is my premium. That's going to be one of my premium plays for today. So I'll tell you what I like about the team total under, Scott, is the full game under has dropped from 212 to 210, yet the team size are still 109 and 102, which is obviously 211. So I think we're picking up a little extra value here on the Lakers side and playing the under. And that's why I'm leaning to the team total under.
It's a fair point.
Okay. All right. There you go, guys. Those shows don't take long when you only got one game to recap and one game to preview. So,
well, I actually want to ask you a question here. I know that you've been talking about how you like the teams from the Eastern Conference for a while, etc.
Yeah.
Is Miami still being slept on? Or
Yes.
are the East still being slept on in terms of actually winning a title? Because I look at this Miami team. Truth is, I don't think the Celtics are going to win the championship. I think that they just have no bench at all. I think their lack of a bench is a brutal flaw that they're going to have to deal with, and that involves them beating Miami 4-6, and 4 out of, well, technically 4 out of 5 actually, because yeah. But anyway, it's just a matter of it's 4 out of 5. But yeah, the point is that
maximum 5 games left. The Celtics have to win.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I messed up the math. It's 4 out of 5. But yeah, I don't see Boston winning 4 out of 5. I'm not going to say that the series is officially over, but Boston's lack of a bench is a huge problem. The Lakers aren't much of a bench either. And Denver, don't get me wrong, if Denver makes it to the finals somehow, I would take the Heat gladly against them to win the title. I don't know. You're looking at the prices you can find for Miami to win the title right now. People are just thinking the Lakers are going to run through them, which is why the Lakers are roughly minus 180. Am I wrong for thinking that the Heat have a shot here?
How about minus 225 as of this morning, bud?
It's 225. I remember being 180. Okay, so it's 225. Assuming that the Lakers go up, let's just say 2-0. Lakers going to be what, minus 275?
What's that?
I said, assuming that the Lakers go up 2-0 against Denver, Lakers going to be what, minus 275 to win the title?
Oh, maybe even more than that.
Maybe even more, 300? That's what I'm saying.
I think 300 isn't out of the question.
I think Miami can hang with this team.
I agree. I totally agree. They're a young team. They're energetic, and they do a lot of things right that the Lakers are going to struggle with.
And I know that AD is a phenomenal player. I get it. I think Adebayo can somewhat match up with them defensively.
Yes, if any of all the remaining people in the playoffs, I like Adebayo to match up with AD the best.
We even forget about the teams left. Just talk about teams in the league. Is there really any other big men you want on AD than Bam Adebayo? I think he's too fast for Embiid.
Yeah, no, Embiid doesn't have the defensive skills.
That's what I'm saying. I think Adebayo might be the best option you have against AD in general.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, of course, the Heat still have nobody who can guard LeBron. You can have Bower who can try, but LeBron should do whatever he wants in that series. But the issue you have is that the Lakers, once again, cannot shoot threes, and all Miami does is shoot threes. And Miami reminds me a lot of this Toronto team last year. They can just rotate 8 guys in, 8 guys out. All of them can get a bucket. And I don't think the Lakers have that luxury.
And you and I have talked about the depth of the Lakers all along. And I think especially if this Denver series goes long, if this Denver series goes 6 or God forbid even 7 games, the more games they play, the more I like Miami. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think Miami has a serious shot to win the title. But then again, if it ends up being Heat versus Lakers, I'm betting Lakers because I already have the Heat at 33-1. So I have really no reason to, not hedge it if I have the opportunity.
No, and if I'm coming in cold, I have no desire to play the Lakers at minus 225 right now. That's ridiculous.
Oh, correct. There should be no desire. I think if you're going to play the Lakers, even like minus 1.5 games doesn't even look too good. I really think the Heat are live. And I think that, don't get me wrong, the Lakers could easily prove us wrong and win because LeBron and AD are too much to handle. But I know this Miami team is they have a certain toughness about them that I don't see duplicated in the league right now.
I honestly might play, as far as the future goes, I might play Denver at plus 900 and play Miami at plus 350 and see
well, just to ask you right now, do you think that there is some value right now on the Heat plus, what are the Heat to win the title right now?
350.
Do you think that there's value on that?
Oh yeah, I think there is. I'm trying to decide if we're going to.
I'm trying to think what the magic number is where the value stops.
Oh,
and I don't know.
Anything south of 300 right now, I think.
But the question is, you have the Heat at plus 350 now. Will the odds be lower or higher going in if they play the Lakers in the finals? I think it'll be lower. I think the Lakers should be around minus 275. And if I had to guess, should they be that price? No. And the Lakers should be around minus 180. If that.
Yeah, I agree. Lakers have shown an amazing ability to play some very, very shitty basketball.
I'm not saying that the Heat should be favored in that series against the Lakers. I'm just saying that I think that people are assuming the Lakers are going to coast to another title, and I don't see that happening.
Now, here's the question: if you're a gambler, do you want to wait to see if the Lakers blow them out tonight and Miami loses tomorrow and goes down 2-1? Now you're going to get 450, 4.25, something like that on Miami. Is that you want to wait for a better strike price?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know what your magic number is when it comes to betting the Heat.
Well, I thought you meant going down.
No. I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to say is that let's just say, though, that if you're going to gamble on the results to happen in Game 1 of the Lakers series and Game 3 of the Heat series, let's assume that the worst case scenario happens, right? The Lakers dominate, and then the Heat also win. Or no, the Lakers lose, and the Heat also win, right? So you end up getting a better deal. What number are you looking for? How much do you think it's going to drop if the worst case scenario happens for the next games in the series? 300
to 280 to 300.
Okay, and do you think that there's still value at 280 or 300?
Yeah, it's because it's better because it's a better price than you're going to get in a one-on-one matchup with the Lakers.
Correct. I assume that even though the Nuggets have pulled off a phenomenal playoff run, that the Lakers are going to win the series. So whether or not you want to gamble on Game 1 of the series, don't get me wrong, you could, but you're hoping it goes from 350 to 400?
Yeah.
I don't really see that happening.
Well, it would have to be both outcomes, to drive that number.
That's what I'm saying. You basically have a 2-game parlay to gain 50 cents of juice. I 50, to save 50 cents of the juice. I don't think it's worth it.
I think Denver's a great play at 9-1. I think if you play this series 10 times, I don't think LA wins. I don't think LA wins more than 9 of them. That's
probably not. But the truth is, I really don't know how this series is going to play out. I have a feeling the Lakers are just going to take care of business, but we'll see. I thought the same thing about the Clippers.
That's why they're a 9-1 dog. But I'm saying I think that's a great
at price. 9-1. That's way too much value.
Yeah, there's no way 2 teams in the finals, one of them should be
you have 4 teams left. I assume that the bare minimum, the highest long shot should be 6-1.
Right.
That's just what it seems to me. Plus, you've seen crazier things, and AD has had an injury history where hypothetically, if something happens there, then the Nuggets might have a shot. I'm not saying that you should be rooting for injuries on players, but AD has had health issues in the past. There's been freakier things in the NBA. 9-1 seemed a little bit ridiculous to me.
Yep, especially as this series goes on, they get back to playing every other day, and that gets to be a grind. Yeah, I think there's value all over the place away from the Lakers in this one.
I'm not going to take the Nuggets, but I think that if you're looking blindly and you have no action right now, I think the Heat at 350 has a decent amount of value on it, especially with how the Lakers play poorly in Game 1. because if they end up going to the finals and you have Lakers Heat, there's a decent chance the Lakers sleepwalk through game 1 again, and you're up 1-0.
Yep, you're right.
So I really think that you have a decent shot there with the Heat. I'm not taking it 350 because I got 33.
Right.
But I think that there is some value with the Heat there.
Yep, good enough. All right, my friend. Very good. And should be fun. Should be fun to watch. Should be some a little bit of a fun Friday night action. So we'll be looking forward to it.
Yep, sounds good.
No more hockey. So, all right, guys, that's it for the NBA show for today. We're a third of the way done, Scott. So yeah, hang tight, everybody. Just hit that next video because it's going to be our Major League Baseball video. We'll be talking about a full slate of MLB games as they start basically their last week of the regular season. So tune in for that and make sure you check out Winners and Winers, of course, for all the deep dives into every game, every sport. Man, it's hard to keep track of them all. I'll be honest with you. Winners and Winers is an invaluable resource this time of year when you're talking about multiple sports and multiple teams. A lot of teams kind of under the radar. So get yourself over there and cop some knowledge, as they used to say when I was a kid. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwiners.com, we appreciate you stopping by. We wish you good luck on all of your plays today. Hope everybody stays safe, stays healthy, and we'll see you next time on Today in Sports Betting. Take care.